Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. I am Coach Ricardo Miller, and it's a joy to be back every morning, Monday through Friday. Effective Living Live is literally impacting lives around the world. I love this virtual space, and the past few weeks we've been focusing on my new book, Burn the Rulebook. And I tell you, I have a friend and a brother. This guy is joining me this morning. He's going to bless you. Go ahead and pay attention because we're having a conversation. Pastor Jay, welcome back to Effective Living, man.
Oh, man. Coach, good morning. Good to see you, man.
It's a joy. It's a joy. Listen, man, you've been doing some things. And we've known each other for a while. A lot of people don't know. We were in youth parliament actually 25 years ago.
This year makes 26.
Is it 26?
26 years ago. We met and we were a little younger back then. And built our relationship and friendship since then, man. So absolutely, it's always a pleasure to be with you. And I just love what you're doing, man. And I think, the biggest compliment is from the people that you know that effective living isn't what you say, it's what you do. And so I know you to be a person that lives a life that you don't need to take a vacation from.
Come on.
Right. And so good morning. We live in a dream.
Over the years, man, I had to figure out some things. And one of those things was I wrote the first book, Effective Living, with the understanding that there is a way to live. There is a right way and a wrong way to live. But once I figured out these principles that I put in my first book, Effective Living, then I realized you can't live effectively without burning the rule book. There are some ways that has to be dismissed. Come on, let's talk about that this morning, because there are a lot of people who want to go to the next level, but there are rules that they have been given that is actually hindering them from the next level. What's your view about that whole concept of burning the rule book?
I remember when you pitched the idea to me that you're going to write the book, Burn the Rule Book. And, I thought about it and I'm like, man, that's really going against the grain. But I think for yourself, you've been disruptive, right? And I think most people, they don't accomplish what it is they want to accomplish or live the life they want to live simply because they're not prepared to be disruptive. They're not prepared to go against the grain or to do the thing deep inside of them because they're trying to play it safe. And so I believe that sometimes you have to come to a place where safe isn't going to work anymore. Where what you've been told, what you've been taught, the ideals of society may not be for you. You may have to burn the rule book as per se, and whatever you've been taught or exposed to say this is what to do. And so whether you're in business, whether you're in ministry, whether you are working a career or whatever the case is, I think at some point there's some rule book that has to be burned. Some rule book somewhere, something your mama told you, something that someone else labeled you as, something that someone put on you that at some point you got to make up your mind and say, listen, enough is enough. We got to burn the rule book. So I love it, man. I just love the concept of it. And from reading the book, I love the depth of it, right? How practical it is, and not only burning the rule book, and how to do that, but why the rule book needs to be burned. Yeah. And so I love it. For yourself though, what I know this is your morning program, but what led you to write that book? I know you've been disruptive and controversial. You love controversy, right? You love going against the grain. And the reason I know there's a method to the madness because that is what most people need. They need someone to wake them up, to shake them up, to kind of like jumpstart them a little bit, right? To shock the system. Yeah. And so I know you've been disruptive for a long time, but why burn the rule book, man?
Boy, what a question. What a question. Years ago, the term trailblazer was frequent, was very common. You remember that word, trailblazer? Everywhere we were turning, you were hearing people talk about trailblazing, right? And then we had speakers who came out and said, blaze a new trail. And I came up in a time when, you know me as a children's guy initially as well, I saw that there were a lot of things that weren't necessarily working anymore. And then when I started to study human behavior, I realized that people are creatures of habit. And because we're creatures of habit, we get accustomed to doing things a certain way. It's almost like the educational system in our world. It's not working. The basic educational model, elementary, middle school, high school, the way school is done today, is actually not working. It's a proven fact. They have the numbers to show it. But we are so accustomed to the way we've been doing school that we are stuck with that model. And it's going to change. But to answer your question, I actually don't like being a disruptor. I actually never thought I was a disruptor until I realized I did some disrupting. But I had no intent to be a disruptor. As a matter of fact, there have been times I asked God, why did you put this on me? Why did you put this on me? I would like to go the road everybody's traveling. I would like to go that route. Unfortunately, it's not been my journey. The Lord has just always shifted me in a way. And I think we need persons like myself, persons like yourself. But the struggle has been real over the years, bro. I'm telling you, I remember when we were in youth parliament. And everybody's style of speaking was a particular style of speaking. And I thought to myself, boy, from Soldier Road, why they have me here? And bro, I brought me, and then I ended up making it on the news. I didn't know why in the world I made the news when I think I was the most untrained, lower skilled person in the room. And so over the years, the Lord just kept doing that because, bro, I struggle with the whole concept of trying not to think I'm disrupting. But now, lately, I realize that's on my life.
Yeah, I think that's important, though, because disruption isn't the goal.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think you've been keenly aware of the goals that you want to accomplish, the things that you want to see happen, not only in your life, but in the lives of the people that you lead, shepherd, that you coach, whatever the case is. And oftentimes, disruption isn't the goal, but disruption is the method that it happens. Yeah. And so I think you could rest assured that I know about you that your heart has been pure in the results that you want to see in people's lives. And disruption is just a part of the process. Because, when we think about scripturally repentance, right? Repentance is going one direction. And then this is the direction that I plan to go in. And you change your mind. And you go in a whole other direction. Essentially, you are going in one direction by one set of rules. And when you start to follow Christ, you burn the rule book. And you go in a whole other direction. And I believe that the person who burns the rule book the most is God in our lives. Right? Like, because we'll have a set of rules and a set of plans that we have. And God will say, okay, enough of that. Burn that. Let's go this way. You know what I mean? So I think it's a part of God's redemptive plan in our lives. For us, for our lives to be disrupted at a certain level. So that he could take us to another level. So that he could make us uncomfortable in where we are. That's why I believe sometimes it's necessary to burn the rule book, because where we are in our lives, sometimes we get comfortable. And it's complacent in the place that God has no intention for us to stay. And so God says, okay, I need to disrupt, or you need to disrupt, but we got to go to a different place.
One of the things that I saw over the years, was our unwillingness to move those benchmarks that have been pre-established in many different formats that's not even working anymore. They were just there. You need to get a car by such. You're going to need to own some property by such. You're going to need to do this by such. You need to do this by such. And that's not true for everybody. And having to go through the effective living approach to rewiring myself to understand in effective living, I started to book off with the why. understanding your why, right? In the Burning the Rulebook, I started it off with the trap of traditional success. The trap.
Yeah.
Right? It's because you got these people. Listen, the majority of people that I know, Pastor Jay, the majority of people that I know who have a degree don't use the degree for what they have the degree for. Don't use the degree for what they have the degree for. And I read an article lately, and the article said the largest enrollment in college last year was undecided. So majority of people are going with the intent to get a degree, they don't know why. And the majority of people who got the degree aren't using the degree for what they went to the degree for. And then there's a good percentage of people I'm meeting lately, they've been out of school 20 years and they still got a student loan for a degree they haven't used or are not using. I'm thought like, why did you do that then? Or watch this. When I was 18, first thing I thought, I need a car. And somebody said to me, the money you're getting, you should put that in Cable Bahamas. The stocks when the cable company was coming in. And then I was like, I want to go to Miami for the first time at 20. I want to go to Miami. And I had some money coming through an ASU. And they said, well, you should put it in that bridge. But the rule of thought for 20, but listen, let's go to Miami and go to Miami Beach and rent a convertible car. I was living the life, boy. Models that were bad, that was driven for that era. But there was somebody who says, don't go the road all the 19-year-olds are going. The 20-year-olds and the 18-year-olds. Burn that book and go with a model that will set you up for the long haul.
I thought about it like this too, Coach. The reason why some people need to burn the rule book, like you said, they're going by the wrong book.
Yeah. Wow.
They're going by the wrong rule book.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's a rule book that I should apply, a rule book that you might should apply. But if I'm reading your manual, that's not going to work for me.
Come on.
So if you say, hey, this is the rule book, this is what to do, and I try to apply it like yourself, that may not work for me. And so what you're saying too is like sometimes we get the rule book from our parents.
Yeah.
And they're telling us what to do based on growing up in the 1960s.
Yes.
And so that rule book, that may work for them.
Yep.
Based on their circumstance.
Yeah, some people were raised in home. You get a good government job. Praise God. I remember when I was in high school, the fella said, hey, man, what you want? Only two things, man, a good government job or a good hotel job. Right? It's a good government job or a good hotel job. Those were one of the things that I found that was very, 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 very common.
Yeah.
I believe the ability to identify the difference between principles and methods, because over years, methods have been passed down. When principles are universal, principles, that's why I try to write.
Now you talk.
Is it? Yeah. I've tried to write my book on principles, not methods. So it's not a style, not a trend. It's not in and out. I want this book to be able to be passed down to RJ's son. So when you look at the 5 F's, faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun, those are eternal. You want to enjoy the entire journey 25 years from now or next year. You want to take care of your body. If you have another 30 years, you need to take care of your body every bit of the 30 years. Or you understand that, watch this, finances, as long as you're in the world, as long as you're in the earth, you're going to need some money. We talk about these principles, but unfortunately, most books that have been passed down were methods, and they became outdated. The approach worked. That's what I want to talk about a little bit. It worked at one point. That rule book was good, necessary, and it worked at one point. But I heard TDJ said this in one of his conferences. He says, listen, if you open a store, a dance store right now to do the moonwalk and to do the break dancing, you're going to go broke, because even though you were the best at it in 1980, even though you were the best at it in 1985, even though you were the best at it in 1990, you try to open a breakdancing dance store right now, chances are you're not going to go viral.
Yeah. I think I was thinking just now, you probably should have written this book before your effective living book. Because the reason why some people can't live effectively is because they're reading the wrong rule book.
Right.
And they need to burn the rule book first. So why did you burn the rule book and burn the rule book after effective living? Tell us what do you think? What's your thoughts around that?
You know, for somebody who's writing down notes right now, write this down. You can't live effectively without burning the rule book. That's a statement right there. You can't live effectively without burning the rule book. Unfortunately,
that's exactly what I wanted to say.
I did not get that revelation like that. Okay. I just knew that there were principles for living well. Like in effective living, I talk about the crippling effect of excuses. I talk about understanding your why. I talk about the faith factor. You're going to need faith, right? I talked about those things. But then when I started looking at the chapter and I started looking at the declaration at the end, I was like, whew, something's missing. Something's missing. And I think it was, you and I spoke because I was going for 2.0. You remember that? I said, man, I think I might go for 2.0.
Yeah.
And you said, but if you do 2.0, that means you canceling the first book. You said that. You were the one who said that to me. You said, if you go for effective living 2.0, you're dismissing the whole book. And
that means effective living, the first one isn't effective anymore.
Yeah, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So,
but I think that pivot is important, even the acknowledgement, because some people, that's a message to them that it's okay to pivot and go back and do some things foundationally so that you can live effectively. And so a lot of people are living so unsatisfied. So like something's missing. And sometimes it requires you to stop what you're doing and go back and fix some things. And maybe burn the rule book and then start living effectively based on your truth, based on where you feel God is calling you, based on your realities in the moment, not based on someone else's reality. So I think your pivot actually is helpful for others, because if you're honest about that story, that should help other people understand that sometimes you might be heading in a direction and it's okay to stop and say, you know what, there's something else I need to build on. There's a greater part of the foundation that I need to build so I could go where I need to go. Yeah. So I love that, bro.
Yeah, thank you. You know, we were all taught by one of the best, the late Dr. Miles Monroe. And I remember when he came out with Maximizing Your Potential. And I thought, whoo, that book changed my life, man. It was loaded. I don't know if you remember that book. I still have it in my collection. But then after Maximizing Potential, he came out with Releasing Your Potential and Understanding Your Potential. I'm like, boy, those are some good sequels. And so I'm believing God that over time, the Lord will help me to see all of the pieces, like you just mentioned, and persons will find the need to grab them in their appropriate places. Like for me now, releasing and then understanding was actually what would have been, how come maximizing came first? But I think he tapped into something, and I think God has given me something that I think I'm going to have to work through. And you know what was the greatest joy about this whole thing, bro? I'm trying to become one with it.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you what the next ones need to be, but I don't want to burn up your rule book for you. But I think the effective living, I think I already know the sequel needs to be effective marriage, effective parenting. Like I think you got some other effectiveness that people need to apply in their lives, right? While effective living is this overarching vision goal, but sometimes it's effective areas of our lives, effective businesses, whatever the case is. So anyway, we'll look out for those ones in the future, the sequels as they come.
Hey, and you've just stated it digitally on the World Wide Web to ensure that the record was clear. Okay?
Listen,
Y'all go just go do a
let it be
search.
known.
Let it be known.
Let it be known that I am a prophet.
Well, like I said early on, you were significant in making sure that, hold on, man, you sure you want to go with 2.0, right? And so I appreciate you for that, man. But here's something I'm really passionate about. I've been reading the book a couple of times lately since it came out, and I just asked God, Lord, help me to become one with what I'm teaching. I want to be the embodiment of this message. I know if you know one of my shirts says effective living ambassador. I don't want to just teach this. I want to live it. And then I want to have a community of people around me that is also feeling the power that comes through applying the information that's in there, where they're freeing themselves. And then last but not least, I want to be compensated. I want to be taken care of really well because I provided value. Because, you're compensated for value. Value added is where compensation really comes from. And I think the next season of my life, my goal is to become one with this. So when you look at how I'm living, it's not for a show, bro. I'm trying to become one in faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun. I'm trying to respect the idea that I could have it all, but I'm going to have to unlearn a lot of things I should have never learned.
I got you. I think we got disrupted a second, but I got you.
Yeah. So everybody who's watching this morning, listen, guys, Burning the Rulebook demands that you become willing to unlearn what you should have never learned. Burning the Rulebook, like Pastor Jay said just now, earlier, he mentioned repenting. Is being able to identify that your ways aren't working for you. And you need to change your ways. Come on, change the direction. You know how many people are living the way they're living, repeatedly showing up every day, doing the things that isn't working for them. That's called insanity. That's called insanity. And Pastor Jay, I'm turning 50 this year. And I said, when will you correct this, Miller? When will you correct this? If you don't do this now, when will you correct this? When will you learn to dress for you? When will you learn to work for you? When will you learn to make your environment work for you? When will you learn to enjoy the life that you've been given? When? Are you going to keep putting it off before you know it? You're sitting on the porch of regret, having had the potential, but not doing anything with it.
Why do you think it's so difficult for people to pivot, to change, to burn the rule book? What are some of the reasons why people never do it? Because I believe there's an awareness that most people have that things aren't working.
Yep.
But what do you think is the reason why they never do it?
I think would be three things. I'm going to give one. The first one would be spiritual, and that is, we call it stronghold. I think there are a lot of people. I know what the teacher says, but I'm a Miller, and my family has never had no money. I'm a Miller. Hey, listen, I'm from Rumkey, or I'm from Auckland, so I'm from Meg Warner. And what we do is, you hear truth, but you dismiss that truth because the stronghold reality of, I can't do it different. I can't do it different. Everybody I know is doing it this way. Even though I hear this person saying it resonate with my spirit.
Yeah.
But it's a stronghold, and stronghold comes through a lot of different formats. Okay? I think the first thing is stronghold. I think the second one that I would say, and let's put stronghold, write that down, y'all, stronghold / habits. Habits and stronghold, I'm putting them, intertwining those as one. Okay. The second thing is association.
Wow.
Association. Let me tell you something. If you want to stop drinking, but all the people you hanging around are drinking folks, you're gonna have a hard time. If you want to accumulate wealth, and everybody you hanging around is on Section 8 and on government assistance and and they're trying to beat the system because they ain't got no savings, they got messed up credit, they stealing, they lying, they lazy, they don't honor God with whatever resources God has given them. You ain't gonna have nothing because that's association again. And then the last thing is, when I talk about association, you've heard the statement before, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Or we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time around. One of the best things, Pastor Jay, I did years ago was I joined Toastmasters. You know who was sitting on that next to me in Toastmasters? Chester Cooper. He is now the Deputy Prime Minister of the Bahamas. Yeah. You know who was sitting next to me in that Toastmasters meeting? Marlon Johnson and Franan Wilson. I mean, guys who are respected leaders and influencers in the Bahamas. I was a knucklehead kid from Soldier Road, but I was riding my bike a couple of times to the meeting. Didn't even thought I was qualified to be in the room. But I joined a program that changed my environment, changed my association.
That's powerful. That's powerful. And I'm just listening to that from the perspective of the person who knows they're not living effectively. They know they're not living their optimal life. Yep. Strongholds, habits.
Yep.
Association.
And let me give you that third one.
Okay.
You know, the third one is a big one. You ready for this?
What's that?
Denial. There are people watching me right now. They know this book will help them. I watch this. They rather go spend $20 for lunch than $20 on a book. Because at the very core, denial is an inward issue.
Can I say this?
Go ahead.
Scan the QR code and come to the rule book presentation. Scan the code. Don't be in denial. Get the book. Come to the presentation. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
We're grateful that you're on right now. That you woke up and that you're on. We're grateful, but you can't be in denial. We want to help you this morning.
Oh man. Denial is a beast. And when you live in denial, you are heading in the direction of regret. Okay? Denial and regret are twins. They often hang out a lot together. Okay? Denial and regret are twins. They often hang out together.
Where you find denial, you'll find regret.
Yeah.
They show up. They show up
together. Hey, watch this. Hey, I'm denial. What's up, regret?
Yeah. And if you hanging out with denial now, you'll hang out with regret later.
You're going to eventually even hang out with regret. And here's the deal. This is the part I get emotional about. This is the part that God help me, Jesus, because I can remember being on the back of the truck doing construction and getting paid $175 a week. I can remember riding my bike and saying one day I want to own a car. I could remember, I can remember going to a conference to be a keynote speaker. And when they put me in the room, they say, hey, you need to put down a card for essentials. I didn't have a card. And so I didn't even put down a card. I said, listen, I ain't putting down no card. They said, well, you have to put down a card. And I said, listen, I need to get to my room. I ain't putting down no card. But I didn't have a card, Jay. And watch this. You know what I did? I got in my little car and went to Walmart and got bread and cheese and sausage and lemonade and cookies. And I was in a suite, but couldn't afford what the hotel was offering because I was in my pursuit to becoming. So I know what it is to break pride, to start from the bottom, to navigate the process of by trying to go somewhere, and I'm not going to allow pride. I'm not going to allow anything to stop me.
So you hit on something there just now, talking about that in the aspect of pride, right? Yeah. Denial, regret. Yeah. But sometimes it's pride too that cause people to not burn the rule book because it's saying that what I've been doing isn't working, and a lot of people don't want to admit that, and so sometimes it's willful denial.
Ooh, yeah.
Willful denial. It's not that you don't see it.
Yeah.
is that you looking at it and saying, listen, buddy, I'm already in it.
Yeah.
And so there's no options.
Yeah.
It's too late to start over. It's too late to go on a different course. And what if people say that I look like I'm switching? What if people say that I'm not consistent?
Yeah.
And so because we were worried about what other people may think, that our pride kicks in and cause us not to pivot the way that we need to pivot. Yeah. And I think that you said something powerful there, that you let go of your pride. Yeah. And the Bible says pride comes before the fall. Yeah. So you might already be sliding in the wrong direction, but it's because of pride that you'll continue to fall. Wow. Yeah. And so I think that's a word for someone this morning, that they know what they need to do. You know, life isn't the way that you're made for more, that you have something inside of you that you're not doing. You're unfulfilled, unsatisfied, even if you have success, but you have something deep inside of you that's unfulfilled. Yeah. That worrying about what other people think of you will keep you in a prison. Oof, yeah. And so you have to let go of the pride. And as you let go of the pride, the walls will come down. Yeah. And you'll be free to not only burn the rule book, but live effective in your life and more fulfilled. And so I think that's powerful, because I think so many people, man, we think about burning the rule book. Yeah. They say, man, that's for someone else. Yeah, yeah. I would love to burn the rule book, but I can't. Yeah. I can't. Yeah. And what would you say to the person that say, I can't burn the rule book? Yeah. Burning the rule book will cost me too much. Yeah. It's too expensive. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the Bible says this, Pastor Jay, the Bible says the truth will set you free. The Bible also goes on to say, in all you're getting, get an understanding. What I encourage people to do is, where is truth? Run after it, find it, hold it, fight for it, and get an understanding on how do I become one with the truth I discovered. Because you could find truth, but you didn't do the work to bring truth into alignment with who you are. So I'm saying to the person, is it truth? It's true, Miller, I got to stop eating that way. It's true that I got to read the book. Miller, it's true that I have to really submit myself to counsel and allow a coach or mentor, someone to help me. Miller, it's true. Okay, now I want to get an understanding on how do I bring this to life? How do I bring this to life? Because the truth of the matter is, all of us can work this thing. We can work it. We can work it. We can work it. God is wanting us to work it, but you got to get to the point where you realize, I found truth. And when I wrote Effective Living, the first book, the concept was true. And I said, this is what I'm going to live out. This is what I'm going to walk out. This is what I'm going to be. No matter what happens in my life, I am fighting to become one. Effective Living, that was how that book originated. I worked it. I worked it. I worked it. So I'm saying, find truth in effective living. When you find truth in effective living, then what you do is you make a commitment. I found truth in effective living. Then what I did was I then decided, if I found truth, I got to burn the rule book so that I can get this manifestation. I want to become one with what I've discovered. Now, here's the deal. That's not going to be easy, but it's possible. Okay? That's not going to be easy, but it's possible. All of us can do this. But here's the deal, Pastor Jay. Here's the deal. The challenge is finding truth, which most of us get the opportunity to. Most of us don't do the work to get the understanding to become one with it.
That's powerful, man. I think the opportunity and the will to take action on the opportunity is something that we all have to work on. Yeah. And you know, I'm not gonna come here and I'll be a little transparent. Like I've done that all my life. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it takes work, it takes time to come to the understanding, the faith, the will to say enough is enough. Yeah. Yeah. And to take the opportunity to burn the rule book. Yeah. And so, you know, I think sometimes for me, it's easy to forget where I came from. Yeah. Yeah. and be hard on others that
Yep.
don't take the opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm saying I understand that it's difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
You know,
Listen, that's why I mentioned early on, I fight every day, bro. As a matter of fact, this book, I have about 8 of these in the used version because I keep going back to it because I'm like, I want to live this, Lord. Show me how to bring it. Because I don't want to just get a book and then run to the next book. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be the new habit. And so I have about 10 of these. I've been reading, going through, underlining, highlighting. Now this one, I'm like, I want to become one with it. I want to become one. So I'm an avid reader. I love good content and so forth. But I've told myself, fight to bring this truth alive. Even as a Christian, when I read my Bible, I'm like, Lord, help me to become one with it. I'm not saying I'm perfect with it, but every day I'm working on becoming one with the truth I've discovered. And I'm saying to you this morning, I don't care where you are on the journey. If you make a little adjustment every day, come on, somebody. Yeah. That's how I got where I am. I made a little adjustment, and I'm continuing to make a little adjustment because I would love to be here for another 25 years. That would be 75. And I wanted the story to be said, Pastor Jay, boy, Miller's still making adjustments. Miller is still making adjustments.
You know, I've seen you make adjustments along the way. And so I know when you talk about becoming one, I know that Burning the Rulebook is out of your own experience. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Yep.
Like we've talked about a lot of things that was on one path, and we thought, and we expected it to go a certain way. That we've had to pivot and burn the rule book on. And so I know that you become one with it, bro. I know you have. And one of the things that I admire is your consistency in that regard. And so becoming one, I don't think that's the issue at all, man. I've seen you become one with the message. That the message and the messenger is the same. And so those who just browsing on your channel, on your page, know that Ricardo Miller lives what he preaches. And so I'm so grateful to be a part of what you're doing. And oftentimes in our conversations, you know, in essence, you've encouraged me to burn rule books. You say, Jake, stop playing, man. That ain't working. Jake, stop playing.
Stop playing.
Yeah, stop playing. And really, you saying, hey, burn that rule book, man. Burn that rule book. That ain't gonna work. It's you know, like David, when they brought Saul's armor to him to put on to fight Goliath. He said, man, that ain't my rule book. That's not gonna work for me.
No way.
I can't put that on. I can't put on Saul's armor. And in that day and time, that was the rule. If you go in a battle, you have to put on armor.
And shield.
Yeah, you have to put on shield, helmet. You have to get the sword. You have to do all those things because that's the rule of the day if you're going to be in battle.
If I had to write this just from a Christian biblical standpoint using a text, that's my story right there. Because what was offered to him was the best. It was the king's sword and the king's shield. So he was going out with the best, but he was going to go out with something that was not for him.
No, I often struggle from the standpoint of people could know what to do. They could hear what to do. But oftentimes they struggle with the courage to do what they need to do. And my hope this morning is that someone gets the courage to probably do what you already know you ought to do. Like, you know, it's not working for you. You know you need to pivot. Just do what you have to do. Just take the steps that you know you need to take. A lot of times it's not a new revelation. It's just a new rejuvenation that is necessary to take the steps. And so that's why the Bible says that we not only ought to be hearers of the word, but doers of the word. And so my encouragement is to do what you know you need to do. Do what it is that you know that you've been called to do, not based off of someone else's opinion. I often say it this way: when God calls you, it wasn't a conference call. So stop allowing other people's opinion, other people's voices to cloud you from doing what it is that God has called you to do. Their rule book is not for you. You cannot put on Saul's armor. While it was the best, It is not for you. And you've got to trust what it is that God put inside of you. And David said, listen, I only know a slingshot. So I'm gonna use what I got. I'm gonna use what I know. And so listen, you've got to come to a place where you understand and have a relationship with God and understand when he's speaking to you, to understand that when he moves, you move. And it's not based off of the opinion, the methods, and the desires of others. Not to say throw those things away, but primarily, that cannot be your rule book. And if it is your rule book, burn the stinking rule book.
Pastor J, man, listen, it's so good to have had you on this morning. Let me say this in closing, and I want you to challenge people to get a copy of the book. Listen, guys, courage is like a muscle. Okay? Courage is like a muscle. You can grow in it. Okay? You can grow in it. And so I want you to remind that, write that down. Courage is like a muscle. And I want you to remember this. If it's a skill, you can improve in it. So don't dismiss yourself. Get courageous and practice working that muscle of courage to be courageous and do the things that's necessary, even in small bite-sized pieces. And then tell yourself, I can, even if it's going to take a while. If it's a skill, I can improve in it. Pastor Jay, persons need to get a copy of the book, man. It's out now. They only can get it on my website, and that's intentional. They have to go to ricardomiller.com to get a copy. Talk to them, man. Talk to the people.
Get the book. I mean, listen, there are some books that have a specific purpose in your life. And if you feel stuck, if you feel unfulfilled, if you feel that you're not maximizing your potential, listen, start with this book. I guarantee you it will change your life. It's so disruptive, by my friend who is a disruptor, even though he isn't intentionally a disruptor, but he is a disruptor. And listen, he makes no apologies. He will disrupt your life for the better, though, for the better. Get the book. I encourage you to do so today.
My brother and friend, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Listen, guys, I love helping people win. I offer 3 services. I'm a speaker. If you have a conference, a revival, a Sunday morning service, and you're looking for somebody to come, I would love to come and share with your congregation. I'm a coach. One-on-one coaching sessions is my joy. Monday through Fridays, I do those all day, every day. And then I'm a consultant. Sometimes you just need to bring somebody in to help you bring it together, to help you to take it to where you need to go. Connect with me at my website, ricardomiller.com. We would love to serve you as an individual or an organization. God bless you guys. Pastor Jay, until next time, let's continue burning the rule book, sir.
Yes, sir. Blessings.